Oh my god, you guys. I am so grateful for all the support I'm getting on Instagram, connecting with you guys, and y'all are literally popping off with Inktober. I'm not really participating this year since I'm slightly busy and also making podcasts. Also, sorry for not uploading last week. I made that announcement on my Instagram, so if you don't know that I have an Instagram, what you doing with your life? Go follow me. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a serious-ish topic. But before we get into that, I am your host, Sinjana, and welcome to the Art Terraces podcast. If you're not a member of the Art Garden family, you better subscribe down below, or I'll get one of my garden gnomes to beat your ass up. I'm not even kidding. Or if you're on Spotify or Anchor, don't forget to follow me there because garden gnomes are coming for you. Honestly, when I said garden gnomes, I kind of thought of the Romeo and Juliet garden gnome movie from years ago. I really liked that movie. It was cute. It was really cute. So let's get to this week's topic, art frustration. I think the best way for me to explain my journey with art frustration and slowly getting through this is by me telling you a story. But before we get to the story, I'd like to talk about what actually is art frustration. Well, to me, I'd say it's the struggle of being unable to correctly replicate and draw something due to a lack of hand-eye coordination and skill. But honestly, the technical terms don't matter as much as actually getting through it. What do I mean by getting through it? I mean, in the moment, you're learning something new and you're really struggling. For example, maybe you're learning about the anatomy of a body, which I am slightly learning about on the side. I just had been struggling with gesture drawing for so fucking long, and it's been clicking so much because I've been practicing pretty often. So anyway, let's say you're learning something new and you're struggling. And what I mean by struggling is you can't make it look like the reference and just nothing is looking correct. I think you understand what I mean. You're just struggling so much and you need to get through that to be able to be a good artist. Art frustration is definitely needed to be a good artist. So obviously I'm going to give you some tips on art frustration, but we first need to get through a story and a little bit more experience so you guys can understand a little bit more. So the story, around maybe the age I was 16 to 17, I got Facebook for the first time, and that was like the first social media I was ever on. I know, right? Like, I'm such a millennial in a Gen Z body, although I don't really think it's like that major of a deal. I just thought Facebook was easy to access. So anyways, I got into it mostly to look at memes, and I was into art, so I wanted to look at like bullet journal spreads since I had just discovered Amanda H. Lee, and that was something I was deeply interested in. While I was scrolling, I was trying to get into art groups. If you're a Facebook user, you'll know what I mean. And then I came across this amazing Bulgarian artist, the one and only Angel Ganev. And if you don't know who he is, I'll just link his stuff down below. But I'm currently taking a course by him. His course on his Doodle Warrior Academy portrait system. That is what I'm taking. So I first saw some really cool, sexy art and also some really cool glowy art. And he was the one who introduced me to glowy art. That was like the first time I was also introduced to stylization and its existence. Up until that point, I thought realism was the only thing that mattered, and seeing his really cool style that I had never seen before, you best believe I tried replicating it, and of course, spoiler alert, I failed epically. And it was like a 5-year-old drew it. So let me kind of explain what kind of drawing it was. So the drawing was a girl with, you could see the side of her boobies, and you know, she looked all sexy, the colors were popping off, and I was like, if I can do a sketch of this, it'll be amazing. And I thought, this is easy, let me try. And I just couldn't even get the shape of her body, the silhouette, everything was just so off. After that experience, I was like, nah, it's not possible to do this. Maybe it was just like a computer who drew it, because I heard that computers do art, AI art, and I thought it was just too good to have been done by hand. Fast forward to late 2020 and early 2021, I learned about digital art and the fact that Angel Ganev actually did everything computerized, and it was called digital art. Yeah, maybe I'm a little slow in the world of art, but I guess I was mostly into traditional stuff at that point and also into a lot of bullet journal stuff, so you know, that's why I was a little slow. And when I saw that he was doing digital art, I was like, of course I couldn't have drawn what he had posted and I had saw years ago. you could never achieve that with paper. And so I did see some videos online. I tried again and I failed. So I gave up for the time being, and I just went about my life feeling shitty about myself and comparing myself to other artists. And a little spoiler alert, next week I'm going to be making an episode all on comparing yourself as an artist to other artists. So if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're not following me on Spotify and Anchor, hit that button too for following so you can get notified. Yes, also click the bell. It's really important. Follow me on Instagram so you also get those updates of when I'm posting this podcast episode. It's super important for you, especially if you're struggling with comparing yourself to other artists and it's holding you back from learning to draw. But let's get back to our topic. Okay, in September of 2021, I kind of had a life crisis. I felt like I wasn't doing enough to take charge of my life and being an adult, because you see what happened is I was highly disappointed in the career I was initially pursuing. It was something creative, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And yeah, after that I was like, well, I always also wanted to do art on the side, and I thought I could make it as equally as important as this other career. So I just dove into art. So from the period of October to December 2021, I went from worse to slightly better and experienced this painful reality that getting better was going to take a whole lot longer than I could actually come to terms with. And yes, I was running out of motivation, but there was nothing in my life I wanted to do more than art. So I kept at it. I watched Poco videos, I tried reading the Loomis book, and improved by practicing at every second that I could, and I only improved by 0.1% each time, and yeah, I became utterly disappointed by each and every piece that came out. Now, I know I said I watched Poco videos, I tried to read the Loomis book, but I need to be a little bit honest with you guys here. I was very closed off towards learning certain things because I thought it was going to be too hard. And truth is, it is going to be very hard. It's going to be very difficult, and that is why we're here talking about it. The Loomis book and learning from art books never worked for me because I guess I just needed a video to explain something, watch the way somebody was doing something, and then try to do exactly what they did. And the Loomis book just had full-on pictures, or like a little process of like a circle, the line, that kind of thing. And sure, it's a little helpful, but I think I would do better with step-by-step picture processes that come with a video. That kind of works better for me, and I just want to put it out there that if you are going through art frustration, one thing you really need to consider is, how do you learn art? Do you work better with watching videos? Do you work better with learning from art books? Do you work better from learning through processes? Like, what I mean by that is Devin Elle kurtz. This is where we're gonna go. Devin Elle kurtz has this thing called, I think it's Process Saturday. She posts the process of her entire artwork piece, and just like each process, like why she made certain decisions and how she got to that. Do you learn like that? Watching how somebody does something and then how they make decisions and saying, let me think about how I would make these decisions. Sometimes your art frustration could be deeply connected to your learning style, and you really need to consider that and work with it. So my tip for those of you dealing with art frustration, my tip before tips is find what works for you. Do you learn better with art books? Do you learn better with videos? And if you do learn better with art books, what kinds of art books? Is it a step-by-step? Do they explain certain things? What kinds do you like? Because there are all sorts of art books out there, and some may just not be there for you. The same with videos. Do you like something with more educational, humorous content, or just straight up education and you just want to absorb information? Really, you just need to consider what you prefer and experiment with your different learning styles for art, and that's really going to help you. I think also trying to take a learning style test is useful. Are you a visual learner? Are you an audio learner? What kind of learner are you? That is the best way to also help your art frustration, because if you can figure out the type of learner you are, you'll be able to cure part of your art frustration, because you'll be solving 50% of the problem by working on your learning style. So anyway, I was just not ready to learn the difficult way because I don't really know. I was really closed off, and I think back to it and it doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, it is now 2022 and I decided to get into digital art, and I've learned so much this year. I'm not going to talk about the whole story because I already got into it the last episode. I'll link it down in the description. But basically, I started an art course. I talked about it earlier, and was faced with art frustration every day, I was faced with problems like bad unconfident lines. Y'all, I really want to know, is unconfident a word? Like, I say this word all the time and I'm not really sure. Please let me know in the comments down below. I couldn't draw a good circle for the life of me, and me just like basically failing epically at everything. And yeah, you just get the gist. This journey was very long, but it's been exactly a year now, and I'm not gonna lie, my art is so much better than a year ago. And I've learned how to accept and deal with art frustration, and of course I'm gonna help you out so you don't quit when you try to learn yourself. One of the most annoying things, and it's not really annoying, it's more of a frustrating thing and a heartbreaking and sad thing for me. I don't know why it's heartbreaking and sad, but it just hurts me. I see an artist, they start practicing anatomy, they get good at it, they quit. Why do they quit? They don't think they're getting better. They quit because they don't think art is something that you can do as a career. They quit because it's hard. They quit because they're burnt out. They quit because they think you need to be talented. They just quit. And it's really frustrating for me to watch because I'm just there like, you're getting better. You're improving. It's frustrating because I can see their improvement. A lot of people can see their improvement and then they stop. Imagine if they kept going. Imagine how much more amazing they would be. And that's really what separates, I think, a lot of artists who are got a big following, who are successful, from the small artists who just stop posting because they just don't think they're good enough. What separates the two of them is the fact that the one artist knows that art is a long journey. They're going to improve with each and every step they take. And the other artist just thinks that they'll never get it. And that is why I have got you today here, and I'm going to give you 5 tips to deal with art frustration. Because I've learned a few things, and I actually take these things and I use it every day to keep going. Number 1, finish everything you start, no matter what direction it takes. I learned very quickly in the course I was taking that there is no way that everything you do is going to come out 100% good. So you have to finish everything you start. Firstly, it builds confidence in yourself. It helps you accept and learn new things so you don't repeat them again on the next piece. And it helps your brain be like, yeah, I trust that we're going to keep doing this. Because I think what your brain does, and this is very much linked to dopamine and the way your brain works, is you create an art piece and you don't like it. Your brain's dopamine levels decrease. Why? Because dopamine basically is the pleasure hormone. It's that feeling you get when you're happy because you've achieved something. Now, you created an art piece, you never finished it, you don't like it, half finished, and then your brain's like, I didn't enjoy doing this, aka creating art and not finishing it because it looks bad. Okay, my dopamine's gonna go down. Poof, it goes down. And then when it goes down, you start feeling shitty every time you draw, and you're like, yeah, I'm not good enough, and you start telling yourself all these things that are just not true, you know? And you start trying to get dopamine through other sources. Those sources are most likely unhealthy and toxic to you, and you start to rely on them for short-term dopamine. When in actual fact, you should be helping your long-term dopamine. Yes, it's gonna suck in the beginning, but I think your brain's gonna start to feel more proud and be like, wow, I trust that we're gonna keep finishing each piece. And every single time you finish each piece, be happy. I don't know, just get a calendar or draw up a little table, buy some gold stars from your local stationery store, and every time you finish an art piece, put a star there. That's gonna give you a small hit of dopamine, like, hey, I got a star. And it's gonna keep you to want to keep doing this, you know, doing art. Something I've been doing recently is my habits, and I actually used this system, I think it was from Atomic Habits, to get what is this exactly? Habit partner, a accountability partner. Yes, so I got an accountability partner. I started a Discord server, and then there was 5-6 of us. We all chose a habit we want to track. You didn't need to do it for very long, maybe 10-16 minutes a day. And then we would say, okay, I completed this habit today, day 1, 2, 3, whatever day it was, and how we felt about it, and we tag our accountability partner, whoever that was, and say you completed. And a lot of us kept up our streaks. After, I don't really know what happened, but the server slowly started to fall apart after a few months. People started to do their habits on their own, or, you know, life kicked in. and I didn't have an accountability partner anymore. I got this app called Habit Forest, not sponsored by the way. This app was really useful because you get to grow little trees every single time you complete your habit. I have 6 trees now because I track 3 different habits, but you know, you could use an app like that if you can't afford to get a star, some stars, and something to put on your wall to track how you complete every single art piece you do. So that's a good solution to that problem. Tip number 2, art isn't about luck or talent. Seriously, we're not gonna get into talent because, bitch, I got a whole motherfucking episode on that. And it's linked in the description or somewhere on the screen, so check it out. What I'm gonna say is that an art piece turning out good isn't based off of talent or you having a good day and boom, Picasso. Nah. It's literally about you mindfully practicing anatomy and improving your art skills one step at a time. Remember how I said that I wasn't improving last year for 3 months? Because I wasn't following videos properly, I wasn't following books properly, I wasn't mindfully practicing anatomy. Truth is, I looked at a reference, I drew the reference, it looked terrible, I moved on to the next one. I could have kept at that for 10 years and eventually gotten my art skills. But realistically, if you want to turn art into a career, I can't be waiting 10 years for that, you know? And mindfully practicing could get me to a decent point. So that is what I'm saying, is that you literally have to think that art isn't about talent or luck. Because I've seen a lot of artists on Instagram and they just be there like, oh my god, I finally got this piece to come out right. I'm so grateful for it, and you know, it wasn't sure. And it kind of made it seem like luck, like this time this piece came out good. But really, it's about building up skills so each time you get better and closer to it turning out good or the way you want it to look. So improving your skills one step at a time is really so important. And I guess the best way to explain this is you wouldn't say that the people who win the Olympics were lucky, would you? I mean, if you did, then I think you need to go watch some Olympic videos. No. The people who win the Olympics, they trained for months and months. And they don't get lucky when they break world records. It's most likely that they broke those records whilst training. And honestly, you need to break your own records in your practice, just like them. You don't see that Loish is known as, I guess you could say, the queen of shapes, for example. But she wasn't always the queen of shapes. She had to become her own queen of shapes when she was practicing for years on end. So, you know, it's exactly like that. If you want to, actually, that is the same as viral videos or viral art. When a video goes viral, that was not the first video, that was maybe their first video that went viral, and up until that point they've been experimenting and seeing what was going really well and what worked, you know, and they followed things that worked and keep improving eventually to go viral. And I'd say the same thing works with your art. If you want to get an amazing artwork, an amazing piece of art, those master studies, the Mona Lisa, not a big fan of it though, no offense. Starry Night, big fan of it. And I think, what is it, the lady with the pearl earring? Those are the few I know. Those artists created a bunch of terrible art before getting to that masterpiece. And from there, they just kept improving. Same with you, you just gotta create art, get better each time to get to your best piece each time. And remember, a piece you made last year could be shit, and then a month later, you make your best masterpiece. A year later, it's no longer your masterpiece because you've made something better. That's exactly it. Each time you need to improve so that you get better. So it's not just based on luck, but you're resting on your foundational skills that you've been learning. I feel like that was such a rant, but like, I hope that helps you. Anyway, the third tip I have to give is consistency is the key to getting over your art frustration. No, wait, what? Sanjana, isn't that the opposite of avoiding art frustration? Yeah, bitch, it's the opposite. What you gonna do about it? I'm joking. Whatever you expected, I'm so sorry. It's not true. The only way to get over art frustration is really to just keep learning and to draw mindfully 4 to 6 times a week. And by doing that, you're gonna get better and the art frustration is gonna subside every day, little by little. See, like when you were younger, you didn't give up trying to walk because you kept falling. You know, you kept falling, you kept hurting yourself, and you'd cry, and you kept going. You picked yourself up, and you tried again. Or maybe you were coddled and encouraged, and you did it again. Well, I'm encouraging you today. Practice consistently, and keep falling down. Keep making mistakes. Learn from them. Pick yourself up, and then you're gonna get better. It's gonna click. Everything's gonna make sense, and the frustration will subside. And trust me, it is such a good feeling. For example, I, for one, couldn't get the structure of the head for a decent 6 months. But when I finally got it, when it finally clicked, oh my god, you have no idea, like the feeling. It is so good. It is the best feeling on the planet. It is not in our nature as humans to quit. Because today, look at you, you're walking. But it is in our nature to keep fighting, to keep picking ourselves up, and keep going. So keep fighting off the frustration demons till you can fend them off with those glorious, shining art skills. Tip number 4, breaks. Breaks are super, super important to your growth and to avoid breaking yourself from frustration. As soon as art starts becoming a chore and you just dread drawing, you just gotta take a step back and go draw something you like, or just not draw at all. Go watch your favorite show, go hang out with some friends and family, go touch grass. You just gotta take a step back. But when I say a break, don't take a break from longer than 1 to 2 weeks, because you will lose your art progress. I'm not kidding you. You're gonna lose some of it. So 1 to 2 weeks is the max. No more than that. And my last tip, except that this is a long journey, you're not gonna get better at art overnight. Seriously, you know that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day? Apply that to everything you learn. It can take a year to have decent skills, and years to be a master at least one thing. So you'll need critique partners and people to help you along the journey. And if you need some help with critique, I have an entire episode on that. I'll link it down below or somewhere on the screen. And if you need support, because we all need support learning and growing, I'm here for you in the comments and on Insta. So baby, don't be shy. Slide into my DMs. I'ma help you. Don't worry about it. I've got you. And also, we really need to think back to what I had said. Do you remember that story I told you in the beginning? The story you may have thought was super useless. That story is really useful right now. I could probably get to that level of drawing what I had seen back then, now. I could get pretty close to it now because I understand a lot of things. And you see, it's been a pretty long journey from when I was 16 till now, because I'm 20 now. So that's been 4 years of me experiencing life and going through shit. So it being a very long journey, a year ago, I couldn't draw. I don't think I could draw. But a year later, I can. And it's been a pretty long journey. I've gotten to a decent point where I'm decently happy with my skills. Of course, there's more to learn. But I don't feel art frustration to the same things I used to feel art frustration towards. Because, yes, I feel art frustration towards new things. And we're going to discuss this a little bit later, but having decent skills and learning stuff has really helped me get over that. And it's been a long journey and we're all here together. And for those of you who have left because you thought that was my last tip, the real ones are still here, and they're here for my bonus tip. This is really the tip you all needed, the real ones, and it's something I never mentioned before. So my bonus tip is, maybe you're just not ready for art right now. I know that's not what you expected me to say to get over art frustration, but just listen to me. Maybe you are dealing with depression or mental health illness, moving a house, getting married, trying to get out of a financial rut. Whatever it is, it's okay. It's okay to focus on other things first before getting back to your passion, because if you have to break down every day before drawing, you'll never improve. Or if you don't have time to do art, you genuinely are never gonna improve. You'll never get over this art frustration. Because to get over art frustration, you need consistency, you need improvement. So if you try to learn art whilst dealing with a lot of things that are just life, you're just gonna see art as a chore. It's gonna stay frustrating, and it's okay to stop for that time and deal with life. It is really okay. A little personal story. I had depression for 5 years, and for the longest time, I blamed my depression, my past self, for not growing when I had more time. But honestly, I needed to deal with my depression and the issues in my life holding me back from creating art. And if you need to get your life put together, just do it. I just need to say, if you want to do art and you are struggling with a mental health illness, I understand. I'm not gonna lie. You heard me just say I had depression for 5 years. I'm not depressed anymore. I still deal with a lot of mental health issues, but I've come to a point where I can actually deal with it and create art. And we can talk about that in another podcast if it's something that y'all are interested in. Just comment down below or DM me if you're too shy. Instagram's always open, as I said. Anyway, but If you're struggling with a mental health issue and you want to do something creative, maybe you should let your creative juices out into something else. Get an adult coloring book. It's really therapeutic. It can even help you with your mental health issues. Build a puzzle. That is something that is really creative. I used to build 500-piece to 1,000-piece puzzles. They're fun. They're creative. I guess you could Zentangle. I really enjoyed Zentangling. Maybe buy a few pens. Try Zentangling. It's really helpful, it's therapeutic, and it can help you keep your head moving and you still deal with your mental health issues. I've heard cooking is a very great way for you to try releasing your creative juices, videography, video flowers in your garden. These are the ways to help you with your mental health issues. But if you're in that bad of a rut where you don't want to get out of bed, you're struggling to do ordinary life things, I think art is your last worry. Your first worry is to take care of yourself. It is okay to take care of yourself and deal with your own life problems. It's really okay. Try doing that. If you have financial issues, trying to get a job or trying to stabilize your financial issues are really more important, and it's something you should consider before jumping into art, because art is not really an easy career in terms of finances. If you go the digital route, you need to look into software, tablet, all these things. Also, if you go the traditional route, you gotta look into paints, pens, pencils, whatever medium you choose to work in, you're gonna need to buy stuff. So whatever issues you're dealing with in life, if it is holding you back from art and is causing you more art frustration, deal with that first. Then we can come back and we can deal with learning. Trust me, it is gonna be okay. And I'm here for you. That's all I gotta say. I'm here for you. It's why I create these episodes, because I experienced a lot of this stuff. I experienced art frustration, and I don't really know if I heard art frustration from anybody like this. Nobody spoke to me about art frustration like this. And I feel like as a beginner, a young beginner, Gen Z, 20, maybe even 12 to 30 years old, this is perfect for you. Anyway, these are the things that help me get through art frustration. I'd say I can honestly learn something new now and accept how hard things will be, and I know in the long term I'll get it, it'll click eventually. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, and give me a subby. It'll make me all warm and bubbly. Don't forget to follow on Spotify, Anchor, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell, because next week I'm posting a whole episode on comparing yourself as an artist. Also, the podcast is, if you don't know, available on Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube. So you have 3 platforms to get some art mindset. I'll see you then. Goodbye, guys.